After 20 years, you analyze a lot. You remember people, heroism, the miracle of the Andes, that's what they called it. To be affronted by solitude without decadence or a single material thing to prostitute it elevates you to a spiritual plane where I felt the presence of God. Now there's the God they taught me about at school. And there is the God that's hidden by what surrounds us in this civilization.
Are we supposed to fly that close to the mountains?
That's the God I met on the mountain.
Did I try to take back off? It didn't work.
We were brought together by a grand experience.
Well, timing is everything, and he was sitting up perfectly on my lap until the camera started rolling. So now I'm starting to think that Skipper is camera shy. But he was very interested in that trailer. So, yes, I have decided to review the movie Alive. Yes, a tragic story, no matter how this ended up. So, I will review it right after this nice and cheerful, happy commercial. So we will start with the good stuff first, I guess. So I will do my whole breakdown of the movie and review right after this.
It's the Cookie Crisp cookie counter, making sure there's lots and lots of little chocolate chip cookie cereal in every box of Cookie Crisp, and that means lots and lots for us. Cookie Crisp. Oh no! Not you two again. Lots and lots and lots. Lots of little chocolate chip cookies, and it's part of a balanced breakfast too.
Well, Cocoa, what is it? Oh wait, Cookie Crisp. I'm sorry, I got Cocoa Krispies and Cookie Crisp mixed up. Apparently, they don't make this anymore. But can we be wrong? Or if they do, they certainly don't have commercials like this anymore. So I thought I would play an upbeat cartoon commercial before I start talking about the movie Alive. So yes, I am a very, very much aware that this is a tragic story. This is about the plane crash into the Andes Mountains. And you can look at this two ways. Tragic for the people that died, but the people that survived this, it is a miracle that any of them survived this. They had to deal with ridiculous weather, an avalanche, starvation. They Because what happened was the plane crashed into the mountains, and well, all you had was snow, ice, and probably a lot of cranky people. So all they had to eat at the time when they first got there was chocolate and wine. So they decided later on to,
Don't
well,
say it. Do not say it.
I have to say it. It's part of the story. They found something else to eat. How do you want me to sugarcoat this?
Don't say it.
Well, it's going to be in some of the clips.
That ain't gonna be in the clip. I don't want to hear it.
They eat frozen meat. Let's put it that way. So,
Christopher, you are so disgusting.
well, well, it's the best way I can put it, and that is part of the story. Everybody pretty much knows it.
I did not until I've seen this.
Well, it's one of those movies. What would you do if you were in this situation?
Starve to death.
This is also, by the way, based on incredibly, very, 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 very true events. This really did happen in 1972. This was an actual plane crash, and this is what they did to survive. So, what I'm saying might be disgusting to quite a few people, but put yourself in this situation, and this, again, really did happen, and they really did have to resort to this way to survive. Let's put it that way. So starring in this movie is Ethan Hawke, is the main star. He plays Nando Parado. And I have to say, I think this may have been the movie that really turned Ethan Hawke into a lead actor. I'm not going to sugarcoat this either. He is the one that carried this entire movie due to the other choppy actors, in my opinion. So so Ethan Hawke is really the main actor in this. Josh Hamilton is in this. He plays Canessa. He was in With Honors. I think he was also in a episode of SVU, and he is Nando's friend who eventually at the end of the movie they tend to get help on their own, and those are the two that really are the ones organizing this whole, I guess you could say, survival rescue mission. So, but I will get into that in a little bit later. So, again, the pilots are going through a little bit of weather in the Andes Mountains. So yes, there's some unexpected weather. They go through it. Actually, they go in it, and what do you know? There's a mountain in their way, and they crash into it. And the crash scene is actually very, very good. Frank Marshall does a good job at the special effects, especially the crash scene itself. Um, so then, when they do crash, there are obviously some passengers have died instantly. Some of them have broken legs, and they have and some of them also have internal injuries. So a lot of these are actually it's a rugby team. It's a college rugby team. So a lot of these kids are actually going to medical school, and they are going to Chile for a rugby game. So now they are pretty much trapped in the mountains. So like I said, they find chocolate and wine, and they think the pilots they were making jokes about them being drunk when they were flying. Now later on, when they investigated this crash, they did find out that it was pilot or navigation error. I think it was a navigation thing because they said that I guess they told the pilots that they were closer to Chile than they actually were. So what they thought is that they were pretty much in the clear of the mountains. They clearly were not, or else we would not have this story. So there was also a book on this, which I know is a long shot, but I recommend you read that before you see the movie. I should have done that. Now, there are some other characters in this. There is a character named Roy. He was in a couple other movies. I'm trying to remember the actor's name exactly. Unfortunately, they really weren't in much. I know he was in I Love Trouble, and I believe he was also in Regarding Henry with Harrison Ford. But I will get that actor's name, and I can't pronounce it, so I will have to go back to the cheating machine here. Kevin Bresnahan, and he plays the whining Roy. And then there's another actor in here. I don't know the character's name, but he was in Crimson Tide, and he was also in The Rock. So, unfortunately, I don't know the character's name in this, and then I don't know his actor's name. But I will try to get him in here so maybe you can recognize him. But there isn't really too many, like I've said before. John Malkovich is actually narrating the movie at the beginning as Carlitos. We know that John Malkovich was in Being John Malkovich. He was in Con Air. He was in Of Mice and Men. He was in Rounders. You don't know any of those? And then, oh yes, and he was also in The Land of Fire with with Clint Eastwood. So there is so John Malkovich is one of the bigger names. Josh Lucas is in this movie for about 2 seconds, and he was in Glory Road and the movie Poseidon. So now I will show the first clip of the plane crash itself because this is a very simple story. So I will show that in just a second.
Mother of God, no! Oh shit! Run! Come on, run! Come on! What happened?
Were we supposed to fly that close to the mountains?
Very full of grace, Lois.
Well, as depressing as the opening of this movie is, some people are dead. So,
I really hate when
so as depressing. So I was about to say, as depressing as this was probably one of the better crash scenes in a movie that I have actually seen. Um, like I said, Frank Marshall actually does do a good job with these effects, and I believe he filmed these. I think he filmed this in the Canadian mountains, but I would have to look that up. I could do that on IMDb. And Frank Marshall actually directed the movie Congo, which I did review. And Skip is mad because he got hit in the face with a wire. So it was an accident. So we have to toss it back and forth. So he's not really happy at the moment. I think it's because he saw snow on the screen and he remembers how much he hates it. So now the plane has landed, not in a good place. They are, of course, in the mountains, and it is freezing temperatures. So they haven't found the food yet. So they're looking for to see if the radio works. They found the pilots. The pilots did not make it. They're not exactly sorry about that. They do blame the pilots for getting them into that situation. So they also do find a mechanic later on, but I really don't want to show him because if there's one person you cannot stand in this movie, it is the mechanic. I don't know if he's just nuts from the altitude or what, but he is just the most annoying character in this movie, and you want nothing to do with the mechanic. He also played in Con Air. He was the agent that was killed at the beginning of the movie, and actually, he wasn't really good in that either. So now I will show the next clip of them scrambling around, looking to find ways to survive and how to close up the plane from the giant hole in the back as snow is blowing into it. So I will show that next clip in just a second.
Too late. The rescues were never yesterday. Stop. I guess we'll be spending the night. Rescues?
How the hell are they gonna find us?
Don't worry, they'll find us. The temperature's gonna drop when it gets dark. Hey, let's unzip these covers off the seats. They use as blankets.
No problem. How's your stomach? Good. Fine. Good.
With this clown.
I'm the mechanic. Do you know how to fix radios? No.
Well, so for now, this is the captain played by Vincent Spano. This is Antonio and Canessa, and they are kind of talking together about this. Canessa had the idea to use the seat covers as blankets, and then Antonio yelled it to everybody else. So I guess he's sort of stealing the credit. And right now, Antonio is the captain of the rugby team, so he figures he would be captain of this, I guess, survival um, leadership role. I guess he wants to kind of not have them worry. He wants to say that they will find them. So pretty much he is doing his leadership stuff as captain of whatever this is, this cluster, you know what. So he pretty much decides the rations. He's deciding on how much to take and who even gets their share. Right now, Nando, played by Ethan Hawke, is unconscious, and they actually ask if they can give him a share of wine and a little bit of chocolate, and he does allow it. And then somebody says the king is generous today, so they do get a little bit annoyed with Antonio. Later on in this movie, Nando, yes, but eventually Nando, played by Ethan Hawke, does sort of take over the leadership role because he doesn't want to rely on a rescue team. He wants to get out himself. He would rather climb the mountains. So, and in some ways, I do agree with him on that. Now, I don't know what side you would take,
Just shoot me.
but there are little adventures too that there are. They want to find the back of the plane, so that's one. They want to see how far they can go. That's two, and then eventually we will find out what does actually happen. So I will obviously show that later on in this video. So now the next clip, there is a plane that does go by. So how would you react to this? It's a very interesting scene. So I will show that clip in just a second. Well, I have a new guest. His name is Captain Claw. So this is Stimpy, and he doesn't know how to control those paws, and those little claws hurt. So, anyways, so I would like the audience to join in here, and I would like to see what would they do if they saw this plane go over the sky like this, and apparently it dipped its wings. And would you just automatically think that you could just eat all the food, which they sort of did at night? And let's just say Antonio, let's just say he got his underwear in a bunch. He opened up the box and there was no chocolate. I think the wine was completely gone. So it pretty much looked like Charlie Sheen got into the box. So they don't have any food or wine. I at least I believe all the wine was also drunk as well. Javier and Liliana, the older people on the flight who are still alive, did not have any of it. So they're sort of the innocent people in this movie. And the reason why they didn't is because they are nauseous. They have altitude sickness. Um, they try to sort of the Liliana is sort of she tries to be the mother figure of these kids in this movie to try to keep them calm, and she tries to get them safe or keep them safe for that matter. She plays like a motherly figure. She is not much older than these actors in real life. So, and I am just getting clawed to death by the guest. So, if you don't like this movie, just tell me, Stimpy. I did. So, so anyway, so they did take the plane, dipping its wing as a way that they are getting rescued. So I would like to know: would you need more evidence of, I don't know, the plane flying over again and giving them some kind of signal? Because I would need a lot more than him just dipping the wing, because he could be, like somebody said, making a turn. So obviously, they pretty much mentioned to Antonio that they are not coming yet. So Nando has woke up. So Ethan Hawke is now starting to emerge into this movie. So I will show the clip of Ethan Hawke, and that he is starting to get his voice. He is one of the good, or one of the better rugby players, which I found out in the documentary, which is on the DVD. So I will show that clip in just a second.
Fine. Hungry?
There's no helicopters here.
She's dying.
Can't know that.
And when she's dead, I'm gonna climb out of these goddamn mountains. Back to my father, back to my room in my house.
You're gonna do that.
Not if I wore enough clothes, I would.
Wait, which scene was it? I have no guest. So this is so Nando is coming to. He is with his sister, who is, unfortunately, she has major internal injuries, and she is slowly passing away. And now he just got word that there are no planes. So he is talking to Carlitos here. Not one of my favorite characters in this movie. Um, I don't remember how he was in the book. I don't remember if he may have even had a different name in the book. I don't really. I unfortunately just don't remember that. So he is talking to him about that as soon as his sister does pass away, he is going to climb out of the mountains himself, and he's going to go back to his father and his house. And then he says how he's going to do it. He says he can do it if he has enough clothes. And then Carlitos asks him about food, and he says that he'll just cut some meat off the pilots since they got us here to begin with. So, did it seem like he was joking? It might have, but then Carlitos said, "Hey, wait a minute here. This might be the only way to survive." So, so now that they pretty much heard on the radio, since they did find one, that none of the planes have seen them yet. They were able to get it high enough where they could get a signal. So so then Kinessa says we will climb to try to find the back of the plane that does have the transmitter radio in the back of it, and they can find the battery. So I'm going to show you that scene of them making an attempt to find the back of the plane. Let's see how far they get.
How much further is it? Come on! Come on! Goodness, I can't go on! I'm dying for breath. Come on. Just take one more push. Let's do it. Let's do it.
Well, obviously, this is what happens when you don't have enough water, and when you don't have enough food, and when you're in high altitude. They just climbed up a little hill, and it pretty much kicked their butts. And not only that, it also looks very cold, and also there's so much snow you don't really know what you're stepping on. Um, just ask the guy that almost fell down the mountains. He just took a step, and apparently this really did happen. Uh, this was part of the book that somebody actually did take a fall. And I believe when they were making this movie, they were really at a really high point in the mountain, and they told the guy it's not going to take much acting because you really are going to look down and you are going to get scared, and he did. So, and you can actually see the making on this DVD. So, yes, I guess the people that actually made this, I guess they can thank me for trying to sell this to people. Apparently, I'm doing that by accident. So now I will. There is some good news though, and I will show you that good news in just a second.
I got something to tell you. Good news, they called off the search. What the hell is that good news? Because it means we're gonna get out of here on our own, alright? We're gonna save ourselves. What's that you said? Alberto? Chile's to the west, right?
That's right.
He's crazy.
It won't work. When we tried to climb the hill, we had no strength. It's true.
No. Dead?
How?
It means we should eat the dead.
Well, this is the good news. They called off the search. And I know you're probably asking, why is that good news? Well, now they can rely on themselves. They don't. Now this is, in some ways, I think this is sort of taking the pressure off. The planes haven't found them. They've called off the search. Now it is up to yourself to save yourself. I kind of like that better because then because now you're waiting around for a rescue team. Now you are the rescue team, and the only way to do this, as Nando said, is to eat the frozen meat that is out in the snow. And I would like now. I actually was able to watch this and then put myself in their shoes. Uh, what would I do if I was in conditions like that? Cold conditions, for one, is not my thing. Everybody that knows me best knows I hate cold weather with a passion. And then the other one is starvation. If you are starving, would you resort to that?
No, you will not. I would not let you.
So I would love the comments below on this, what they think of this, because the first time that I actually had this on, um, at the time they ended up being my tenants, and they walked in right as one of the characters said, "We have to resort to eating people." So right away, just imagine the reaction I got was not a good one because they had no idea what I was watching, but that line was all they heard. So just imagine the look on that person's face when they just walk in the living room and hear something like that. Rodolfo. The look on his face was priceless. He immediately almost turned the TV off because he was so disgusted. No, that. So then, when I explained what the movie was about, it seemed to be he seemed to be better about it. Not great, but um, he pretty much he brought to my attention that I was watching a very tragic story, and that's when I kind of changed it. I said, it depends on your look on it. You can think of this as a tragedy, but what about the people that survived? And his attention went to the people that actually died in this plane crash, and which I understand. I do understand both sides of the spectrum on this. You could either think of it as a tragedy, but I think of it as both. So I will actually the person that was so vocal about not participating in surviving is we'll see if he lives up to what he actually says. So I will show that clip in just a second. So I'm sorry if you are very disgusted, but I'm sorry. This is what they really did. There's just no way around it. And believe me, the book is a lot more graphic than the movie. This is nothing compared to the book, believe me. So now this movie does have an R rating, and part of the reason is because of scenes like this. Uh, I may have told this story from The Legend of Bagger Vance, but I did almost see this movie in theaters. But my dad asked the lady at the desk what the rating was, and she says it was rated R. So I was not able to see this until many, many, many years later. So I came so close to seeing this R rated movie in the theater until I opened up my big mouth. So this is what they're faced with, and now because they are eating, now they do send a climbing team to see how far they can get and to see if they can actually get to the tail of the plane. The bad news is their winter is still very much still there. So unfortunately, when they send out the climbing team, it gets to about 35 to 40 below zero. How are these three guys, and do they survive? Let's find out in the next clip. So here's the so now it did get to 35 to 40 below zero, and this is what the guys look like.
They look like Eskimos.
Yes, they look like little Santa Clauses, just a little bit thinner, but they are very much alive. And this is a part of the movie that was a little bit, that did have some type of joy to it. They did find a way to go sledding down this mountain. I believe they used some of it's either they found some type of debris from the plane and decided to just take a slide down. So Nando sees this as a good sign because the way they were dressed wasn't really that well. They didn't know if they found shelter. They found a tiny bit, but it was just enough to keep them alive for the next day. So Nando looks at this as, hey, it's very possible we could get out of this. So this just gives him another reason to go into another survival level, and Skip is back with me. So he is very, very happy. So yes, so this is and again, I do give Nando credit here. This is a actual real story. This is what they were really up against. So this is not some little children's story. This is a adult story. This is what really happened. So now everything looks really good. They're in some good spirits here to survive. What else could go wrong? well, they're they're out in nature. Anything could go wrong. You know what it is? Well, we'll find out what it is in the next clip. Avalanche. So this is what happens when Rosie O'Donnell falls out of bed. More people end up dying because Rosie O'Donnell fell out of bed. She was reaching for her Dr. Pepper and chocolate chip cookies, donuts, and pizza, and she rolled out of bed. And an avalanche happened. And I almost got bit. Oh, there we go. Okay. Well, Skip is back. So the avalanche took 8 more lives, which is unfortunate. The only good news out of this is the mechanic is gone. So that is a plus. And Antonio also has passed away in this avalanche. I know Antonio wasn't, he was a little bit annoying as well. But unfortunately, Liliana has passed away, and she was one of the characters I really did like in this movie. So, yes, I may have just spoiled something, but it did happen. But Whining Roy is still very much alive. So, so yeah, so this avalanche did unfortunately claim the lives of 8 more people. So this was kind of an unexpected thing that did catch me surprised when I was watching this. Now, when I read the book, I obviously saw this coming, but I didn't know how realistic it actually was. But in the documentary, which is in this DVD, they did have survivors of this event actually help with the movie. So that was actually really, really cool. I did not expect that. So now after this avalanche, there is always an upside to a tragic event. Speaking of tragic events, that was almost one. So yes, Skip. No, you're not going over there. So he obviously wants to get to the tiger that is to the other side. So anyways, this just makes it makes survival a little bit better. Now they know anything is possible and any disaster can happen. So now they really want to get to this radio. So they end up taking a little trip and they end up making this sleeping bag, and they do find extra supplies. The only problem is winter is still very much active at this time. So the next clip, I will show the next adventure of them getting the radio. They do get the transmitter radio, but it's getting back. That's the hard part. So I will show that clip in just a second.
You know you can! Just leave me! No! We gotta keep going! We can come until the sun goes down, we're dead! Go ahead! What about Roy? You go ahead with Tintin! Don't look back! I'll get Roy to the plane! I told you winter wasn't over!
Well, winter is not over, and I had to show a scene of Whining Roy. So Roy was crying about the radio before this scene, and now he's crying more because he's trapped in this blizzard. Well, okay, fine. I would probably be whining too. But he was whining throughout the whole movie.
Probably.
I really would. I don't even like being in 50 something degree weather anymore. I don't even like that. That's what happens when you go out in 95-degree heat. When you're stupid enough to do that, 50 feels like 30. So, anyways, they are now heading back. They do get back safely. So now, several days later, they decide to take the ultimate trip after Raphael sadly passes away. He was one of the first ones to go on one of those, I guess you want to say, explorations of the mountain. We don't know why what he passed away from, but you can imagine these are extreme conditions. So now they decide to take the one last stab at actually finding Chile. So do they eventually do it? Well, I will just show one more final clip. I'm not going to show the end of the movie, but I will show you Nando's last speech to Canessa to pretty much get him off his butt and walk 50 miles. So I will show that clip in just a second.
I'm not as strong as you. You know what it is that we've lived this long the way we have? 70 days that we climbed this mountain. You know what it is? It's impossible. It's impossible, and we did it. I'm proud to be a man on a day like this. It's God. And it'll carry us.
And this is the final clip that I'm showing. So pretty much he gets Canessa off his butt, and he tells him what they did for those 70 days. Living like that is impossible, and they made it. So why not stop now? So pretty much he tells them that the only way out is to walk 50 miles. And well, now that I had to stop my guest from being rude, so pretty much he says that they have to walk or climb 50 miles for that matter. They don't actually show it, but obviously I'm not going to tell you the total end of the movie. I mean, more people could have passed away, but I'm not going to say anything. But this movie was dedicated to the 29 people that did die and the 16 that survived. So this is the end of pretty much the breakdown of the movie. This was filmed in British Columbia, so Canada is where this movie was actually filmed. This did make roughly $4 million. The budget was 32 million, and it made 36 million. So it did okay. I think they expected this movie to do a little bit more. Now the good thing to this movie was I actually did like it. I know the critics had other opinions of it apparently. Oh, and speaking of that, I did forget the two clowns did actually review this. I just remembered, so I will show their review and then I will give you mine. So yes, King of the Toilet Chair and Siskel the Grouch are up first.
The true-life survival thriller about the 1972 Andes plane crash in which 16 survivors engaged in cannibalism of the dead in order to survive more than 2 months, I think it was actually 10 weeks, in the frozen wilderness. The best part of the film is the opening plane crash. It's stunning, and after the crash landing, leaders emerge within the group.
We're gonna starve.
The cannibalism issue, it's handled directly with a lot of religious overtones, but remember, the team was from Catholic Uruguay.
If we do this, we'll never be the same again.
And director Frank Marshall, who produced many of Steven Spielberg's spectaculars, does a great job with it. All the survivors, led by Ethan Hawke as Nando, realize they can't sit much longer and wait for help. They'll have to traverse the mountains in search of civilization.
Maybe this leads somewhere. Be careful.
Well, I'm sure hosts joke about Alive and about the cannibalism and the airplane food. Those are pretty good jokes, actually. Frankly, what this movie could have used more of is some sort of gallows sort of humor and less of the religious stuff. But the movie kept my attention throughout because more than the cannibalism issue, I found myself imagining what kind of response would I have to the same situation. Would I be a leader or a follower? How strong physically would I be? Would I be the one telling the jokes? I think I would. Would I risk myself
hope
for
not.
someone else? I enjoy thinking about that stuff because I know the cannibalism answer right away. Yes, I nibble on a dead finger to stay alive. So if you will, a marginal.
I won't do that either.
And don't nibble on that thumb, Gene.
Yes, sir.
Not even if it means staying alive. We need it for the show.
Thank you.
I didn't like this movie quite as much as you did, although I agree that
You did think about it.
the special effects are very well done.
Yes.
What bothered me was I never got the sensation that I was really seeing what it was really like. The guys always looked a little bit too healthy and well fed. Their faith, after a while, they're in the middle of the wilderness. They've been eating dead bodies for 8 weeks, and they're saying things like, gee, I've never felt closer to God. Well, I hope that I would have that response, but I think my real response would be, I'd like to be a lot closer to Lima, Peru. It doesn't seem as if it's really that tough.
Oh, I think
Weren't there people there
I
actually
think
showing
the
them how to
plane
do
crash,
it?
as you said, is
Okay.
well said. It's handled so well that you do get a feeling for the real jeopardy they're in. But here's the thing: I know critics are dumping on this film, but I bet each and every one of them thought about what they would do in the situation, and that recommends the movie.
It's a close call, but I can't quite get it.
like
Okay, when we come back, Body.
Well, the two clowns did it again. So this was actually a very, very, very poor review. Um, the religious stuff I didn't really like either, but it's like he said, this was Catholic Uruguay. This was a Catholic college, so a lot of them, unfortunately, that's how they talked, and actually what they're saying is complete garbage because the one guy did say he's agnostic, he's not going to pray, but if you're in this situation, I've never been in it before. Would I turn to that? I might. I have no idea. And they're making jokes about the cannibalism thing, but that's what they actually did. I, I shouldn't.
I still would not.
I
I would do what the lady did and dive for ambulance.
I don't know how they can I don't know how to get that across to the rest of the critics. This is what they actually had to go through, and then they could use the excuse we didn't know this was a book. Well, that's a terrible excuse because I knew that it was a book way before the movie came out. I saw it on my dad's bookshelf. I don't think they know what a bookshelf even is.
Yes, but they also had the actual people there.
Speaking of climbing.
You could have moved the stuff.
Yeah, so now and that's the other thing too. They actually had the real life survivors trying to help them, how things were and the way that the characters were, and the fact that Siskel, the Grouch, said that something about telling jokes that he would be telling jokes, and like my wonderful bride the bee said, I would hope not. I feel the same way. I hope he wouldn't tell any jokes. And the first one to eat would obviously be Ebert. He would have no problem. I mean, they're making fun of the cannibalism, but what about people that eat McDonald's for an everyday dinner meal? That might be worse than actually eating a person. So anyways, so this is so I mean that's. So I mean, there's a few things that they didn't pay attention to, and Siskel saying that there was no humor. He's actually wrong. They did attempt humor in this movie, but I didn't show that because it was so poorly done. It was not done well. The one thing that I'm going to say is the acting in this movie was not. Uh, let's just say it wasn't great. It was. It's what I said at the beginning. It was choppy. That was the low point of this movie. The special effects were good, and he's right. Frank Marshall was with Steven Spielberg on a couple of his movies. Indiana Jones is one that comes to mind. I believe he was. I believe he was a producer in Raiders of the Lost Ark. So he obviously does have some experience there. The avalanche was well done. The plane crash itself was sad, but very, very well done, which I've said before. But so the I skip. So it's like I said, the one downfall was the acting for sure. the guy that played Carlitos comes to mind the most. His one-liners were bad. Just his facial expressions were horrible. The other guy that was in Speed, the guy that was complaining the most about eating people was. This may have been his first movie, but you can tell that there was a lot of inexperience in this. But the one thing was Ethan Hawke's. Um, his leadership role in this movie was very, very good, and I think this is where he got his star as being a lead guy. So for him, I'm going to give Ethan Hawke a lot of credit. This was his shining movie for sure. So, uh, I was surprised that this movie didn't do better, but it's like I said, it's definitely the acting that is what kind of did it, and he's just scratching away at our couch. So if I had to grade this movie, so if I had to give this movie a grade, I would give this a solid B minus. If the acting was better, it would get a much higher score. This was a very good movie. I'm not going to say you may want to put the popcorn down for it and put your poison beverage down for it if you cannot deal with some of their food of choice for that matter. Somebody was pretty squeamish during the clips here. It's understandable. It happens. I could just kind of deal with it. I could ignore it. Some people can't. My mom was one of them. She didn't want to see this movie because of that. But this is one that I will recommend. If you can get past that, then you are in for a very good movie. I understand it's a tragic story. It's a tragedy. There's no way to sugarcoat it. But but this is one that really should be watched because it's much better than the garbage out today. So comment below, subscribe if you want, and thank you for watching.